It's the Bitcoin Capitalist Show, and we have Luisa Romero from Medellin, Colombia. She's involved with real estate a little bit, and she's also an attorney. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm Luisa, as you said. I'm Colombian and I am a Colombian lawyer. I've been in Medellin for 2 years. I'm actually from the capital city, from Bogota. And I
Yeah.
moved here 2 years ago to start an Airbnb business because tourism in Medellin is booming. So I knew this was the place I wanted to be at. I started an Airbnb business and I also own a law firm where we do intellectual property, real estate law, commercial law, and migratory law.
Wow, you do it all. When I
Yeah.
when I went down to Colombia, it was like 5 or 6 years ago, and I was in Medellin. I went to Cartagena, and I went to Tirona National Park, and like
Yeah.
we were trying to get into the park from St. Marta, but all the boats were booked. So we went to the entrance, and there's no hotels. Like we were literally staying in like a hostel with hammocks, and then this is a world-class national park. And I couldn't
Yeah.
believe how there wasn't infrastructure yet. And I'm like, Colombia is about to blow up with tourism. Like they have so many unbelievable things. And when I was going down there and posting pictures on my social media, it was like right as the first season of like Narcos had come out. And everyone still thinks it's like dangerous and all this stuff. And I was there. I never had any problems. I had the most unbelievable time. People were super welcoming. I went up to a little village for a New Year's party with a local Colombian guy, and I don't think they had seen a gringo like me. People were coming up. Everyone was being so nice to me. I've had nothing but a great experience in Colombia. Partied in Cartagena in the old town. That is like one of the coolest places. And I know a lot of expats have been flooding into Colombia because it's cheap and fun, and a
Yeah.
lot more are going to come. So what can you tell us about the digital nomad visa there and the permanent residency information?
Well, yeah. Well, as you said, Colombia it's booming. Like everyone wants to be here, it seems. And the government recently launched the digital nomad visa. This is like something really new because they didn't used to have this. We didn't like in
Yeah, I
Colombia. We
didn't know
didn't
about
have,
it.
yeah, we didn't have that many people wanting to come here, especially because what you were saying, people always think or having their minds that Colombia is full of narcos and war and like that everything is really violent. But that has changed a lot uh, with time, and tourism is booming. People have come to realize that Colombia is beautiful, that it has a lot to offer. What you were saying is cheap. So we have a lot of digital nomads here. Like people are moving here, like to work online, especially after COVID. I don't know if you've noticed, but people are just like working from home and they just want to
Well, what
work.
happened is like most people like me pre, COVID, you just go
Yeah.
down on vacation and you got to go back to your 9 to 5, and now everything's work remote, and that didn't exist. So now these people, it's a huge thing
Mhm.
in Latin America is all right, you can make your 6-figure salary earn in dollars, and then you can
Mhm.
go live in Colombia and your standard of living triples overnight without doing anything else because you have dollars in a country that's a lot cheaper. And
Yeah.
man, it was cheap down in Colombia. And I also I went to Paraguay, and like I hadn't done the currency conversion. I used my card, and I thought it was gonna be $120 dinner, and it was like $20.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
dollar really goes a long way. A lot of people ask me, they're like, "What works down there?" You're not going to find a job. You got to have a work remote job earning dollars, and then if you go there, you're
Yeah.
a great experience. Now, do you
Mhm.
have any idea on the cost of this new digital nomad visa and any of the requirements?
Yeah, yeah. So let's go to the digital nomad visa. So the digital nomad visa, it's a visa, of course, for people that are working remotely. You cannot like come here and try to get a job,
They don't
especially
want you
because you
competing in the local job market.
exactly, yeah, and you're not gonna have a good quality of life with salaries here in Colombia. But you definitely can work. You need to prove that you're working for a company outside of Colombia, or that you are just like an entrepreneur, that you own your own business and that you work remotely.
Now, how
Also,
would you go? How would you go about certifying that you work for the company? You like send paychecks, or do you know any of the details on that?
you need to send or a letter from your employer saying that you work for them and that you make X amount of money. or you can also prove it. Like, for example, if you're an entrepreneur and you work for yourself, you can prove it with your bank statements.
Okay.
They usually ask for the 3 last months of bank statements, and that's it. What you have to prove is that you make monthly more than 750 US dollars. That's like the 3 minimum wages in Colombia, which is really, really little for a foreigner. Here, that's around like 3.3 million peso, which the conversion is 750 USD, which is like really, really low. Most of the people in the United States have salaries that are way more than that.
Yeah, I mean, just
So
unemployment is more than that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the only thing you have to prove. You also need to have health insurance here. That you can find a really good health insurance for like around $30 a month or $50 a month. It depends on like what you want. But that's the only thing you need to prove.
Now, is there a criminal background check with the digital nomad visa or no?
No.
Okay,
Well, sometimes the entity is gonna ask you like for more information, so they can ask you for like your criminal records, or they can ask you for additional stuff during the process. But to start, the only thing you have to prove is that you have enough money to support yourself living here and that you're working remotely. Other than that, you don't need anything else.
Okay, so now let's talk about the change in the permanent residency process, because they used to have a thing where you could invest in real estate, a certain amount of money, become a permanent resident, and the new president ended that, and like it doesn't start for 5 years. It's very unpopular. Who knows? Maybe we'll change it, because maybe similar to in Panama, they had a thing called the Friendly Nations visa, which was super simple and easy, and they got rid of it. And then the immigration fell off the cliff with expats because they made it too hard. So what was the old permanent residency program by investment, and what is it now, and what are the qualifications?
So before this change in October 2022, so this is really, really recent. Before this new law, you could apply for the residency immediately after you applied for the property owner visa. You just had to invest in property here in Colombia, buying a property that was more than like 350 minimum wages here. That's around 84 USD with the exchange right now. So you had to you just needed to buy a property here, like that met that amount. And after that, you could apply for the residency immediately. Okay. Another option was where you invested, like not in property, but you could invest in whatever in the country. That was 650 minimum wages. That's around like 150K, more or less, USD.
So you used to be able to buy like a piece of property for $80,000+, and as soon as that deal closes, you'll be a permanent resident.
Exactly. But that changed.
Now they changed that. So what is the process now?
Now you need to apply for a migratory visa, and you need to be a holder of that visa for more than 5 years. Like a type M visa, that is a migratory visa, you can apply to that being a company owner, buying property with the specific requirements that visa requires, or like the free investment visa where you had to invest a little bit more money. You have to be a holder of that visa for more than 5 years. What happens in Colombia is that they can give you the visa, like the entity gives you the visa for the time that they decide. So you can apply to one of these visas and you can get it for a year or for up to 3 years. And after you expire your time, you need to reapply for that same visa or a different type of visa. Now, to get the residency, you need to be a holder of a migratory status for more than 5 years. Yeah. And after that, you need to apply for the resident visa. Okay. So at least you have to be in the country for 5 years and you need to be a holder of a migratory visa. What happens here is that you cannot, for example, apply for the residency if you've been in the country with the digital nomad visa for 5 years, because the digital nomad visa is a type B.
It doesn't count.
Visitors, it doesn't count, exactly. Or you cannot not apply if you come with a student visa or with a different type of visa. So they made the process a little bit harder now.
Yeah, so pretty much what I'm taking away is you really have to be in to moving to Colombia to get this residency, because it's going to be a long process. It's not like a Paraguay where you just go down there, make a trip, and it's done. No, that's interesting. That's That's a bummer though, because it's like, you know, people want to invest in real estate. They want to be able to be part of Colombia. Now, how is wait, one question before this. Can you buy citizenship in Colombia or no? Is there
No.
like, if you buy like $1 million worth of something, you can get instant citizenship? They don't have that.
No, they don't have that. They don't have it. You have to like marry someone.
Or marry someone. Which is
That
very easy to do because Colombia has the most beautiful women in the world. So,
yeah, that's what they say.
okay. So the next kind of question is, how is the real estate market there? I know it's hot. Like every time I'm on social media, it's just like people showing these awesome penthouses in Medellin, and they're like a quarter of the price of anything you would see in the United States. So how's the market in Colombia right now?
The market, it's really good. Like, of course, like Colombia is a developing country. I think like Paraguay, or I don't know, and maybe Colombia is developing like a little bit more right now.
Yeah.
So everything is new. They're building a lot of like new buildings, and of course, people want to invest here because of the tourism factor. Like if you invest in property here, you can list your property on Airbnb and make a passive income really, really, really easily. So a lot of people are investing here, but that has made that the property is going up a lot. Like I'm telling you, like they're building this new build entire buildings only for Airbnb.
Wow.
Like they are like having like almost like US prices.
Wow.
And so it depends. Like residency places are like low prices, but now like the popular areas like Poblado, Provenza. I'm talking to you about these neighborhoods that are like
No,
the
but I'm
most.
sure some of my audience will know that these are like the best neighborhoods, and you should talk about them.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're building new property, but the prices are really, really, really expensive because people are buying property here, especially for investment, like to lease their properties on Airbnb and make money. Because tourism is booming a lot. Like even like people ask me like, is there like a lot of like, do you think it's like a lot of supply for the demand? And I tell them like no, because the amount of tourists that are coming to Medellin cannot like new hotels, new Airbnbs cannot even hold the amount of tourists that are coming.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I said. Like I was down there 5 or 6 years ago, and the tourism was like nothing. And I'm like, once people find out about this place, it's gonna explode. And the supply and demand of tourism coming down there and Airbnbs and places to stay isn't matching. And I don't think they were ready for that influx of Americans and expats. And it's like with social media, all the videos are going viral, like, oh, Cartagena boat parties, and I didn't know anyone that had gone to Colombia in the last 2 years. Like pretty much 60% of my friends have all gone. They've gone to bachelor parties. Like everyone's gone down to Colombia to have fun.
Yeah.
Now, what is the most up and coming city for like real estate investment? Is it Medellin? Is it Cartagena? Is it Bogota? What do you think?
I would say all of them, all of those. Like Medellin, of course, I think it's gonna be the most popular destination, and people love it here. Medellin is like the city here where people like like foreigners stay here. They come back a lot of times. So I think Medellin will be the most popular city. But then you have also Cartagena that has the ocean. It's always going to be a really touristy place to be. Everyone like knows about Cartagena. Even people from Colombia go on vacation there. So it's always going to be a popular destination. And then you have Bogota, which is the capital city that has a lot of people. Also, like many people come like from a foreign country, their first stop is Bogota, and then they go to the other cities. So Bogota is always going to be a popular destination just because it's the capital city. But if I tell people like to pick a city to invest right now, I would say Medellin. Medellin is gonna become such a like popular city. Everyone's eyes is on Medellin, and I think
I think now that people are realizing it's safe, and now there's all these flights going down there, and I just totally think Latin America isn't as travel like Europe. Everyone's been in Europe, and like I think there's gonna be a huge section of the American population that's gonna come down, and they're gonna start exploring Latin America. And you're already seeing it. Like Mexico is blowing up, Mexico City. All these people are going down there. They thought it was dangerous, and everyone that goes to Mexico City just raves about it now. And
Yeah.
I think Latin America and Colombia are just going to be so popular in the near future. So if you had to make one big bet on real estate, you said Medellin would be the spot to invest and do like Airbnb
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I would say it's Medellin. And also like Colombia is so close to the United States.
Mhm.
Like you have also like Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, Chile, but
Mhm.
those countries are way farther away from the
It's a long
United
flight.
States. Yeah, the flights are longer, more expensive. Colombia is so close to Miami. It's a 3-hour flight.
Got direct flights.
So
I'm going to Panama on Wednesday, and that's like, I mean, you can just hop on a quick flight from Panama to Colombia and be there
yeah.
just like that. Now, with the digital nomad visa, what are
Mhm.
the costs associated with that? Is that pretty much just your attorney's fees to file? What would that cost someone to get?
So it's the attorney's fees. Also, you need to pay an study fee that it's around 54 USD.
Okay.
After you get approved, you need to pay for the visa that it's 170
Mhm.
US dollars. And after that, when you get your visa, you need to pay for your Colombian foreign ID, which is called Cédula de Extranjería. That cost is 217,000 Colombian peso,
Now,
which is around 45 USD. So I say a whole would be like 250 USD plus the attorney's fees.
what would it all be in with fees and attorney's fees? You think like $1,500, $1,000?
More or less with
Okay,
everything, like the
all right.
study of the visa, foreign ID, everything.
Now, how long would that process take to get approved for the digital nomad visa?
That one is one of the fastest visas here. It takes around a month.
Oh,
Everything like from
and you don't go,
applying.
you do it from back home, and then once you get approved, you come down. Is that how it works?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. You don't have to be in Colombia, but you need to have a valid passport.
Okay.
You need to have a valid passport that can ensure that you can travel.
And how long does the digital nomad visa last? 1 year?
So you can get it for up to 2 years.
Okay.
So the entity can give it to you for 1 year or for two if you're lucky. What I've seen recently is that most of the people are getting it for a year, and after a year you have to reapply. But I've seen people that are really lucky and they get it for 2 years the first time they apply.
No, that's actually nice that they have the 2-year option because we offer Costa Rica digital nomad visa, and you have to renew it each year, and then you have to pay the fees on renewing it each year. The only good thing about the
Yeah.
Costa Rica is in 3 years, if you keep maintaining it, you can actually apply for residency. So you
Wow.
can't really transition into the Colombian residency. At least you can just get everything done and not have to worry about living there for 2 years.
Wow.
Now, is that what most people are using? Because every time I go online, and it's like every dude is in Colombia telling you what a great life, digital nomad life it is there. Are they all on this digital nomad visa, or are they applying for these visas, these other ones that lead to residency? What do you see happening? Or is the digital nomad just so new that
Yeah.
it's just becoming an option?
So what people do here, because in Colombia you can be 80 days per calendar year just as a tourist.
Oh,
So you
okay.
can come here with no visa and stay here for 108 up to 180
Wow.
days. 180 days. So most people that you see here as expats, they
Tourists.
live 6 months of the year here, and then the other 6 months they go back to the States. Usually what people do is like they come here during the winter in the States. They live here for 6 months and then they go back to the States. Another option that's becoming really popular is the digital nomad visa. Also, people do also the student visa here that it's really easy to get because you can even get it taking Spanish lessons. So people like come here with the student visa.
That's
And
interesting. So you could go down there, just hire a Spanish tutor, or do you have to go into like a university?
you have to go to an entity that's like that has a certification from the government.
Okay.
Yeah, certified. Mhm.
And that's like probably like a year, and you renew that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be the length of your studies. Also, people here come and do like a master's degree because they have a lot of universities offer classes in English. So they get like a student visa for a master's degree that lasts 4 years, 3 years, and they can be here. But there are so many options to come that I cannot tell you which one is the most popular one, because everything is like each person has a different like scenario in their lives. A lot of people also do the company owner visa. They just open and establish a company here in Colombia and they run it, and that one's a really easy one to get to.
Now,
So it's gonna
that sounds great. Now, do most people in Medellin, do they live in apartments or do they buy housing?
apartments.
Okay,
Apartments, because it's a big city. If you want a house, you have to like go outside of the country, of the city a little bit more.
okay. Now, as a Colombian, like, where do you go on vacation? Like, what cities do you go to? Like, I'm just curious. Where's your
So I love Santa Marta, where
okay.
you were mentioning the Parque Tayrona, because it has the beach, and because I love like that vibe over there, that it's more like a chill vibe. Places are beautiful. I go there almost every year. Sometimes I go 2 times a year there to vacation, just because in Medellin we don't have a beach,
Yeah.
you know. So I love going to Santa Marta. Also, like around Medellin, there are a lot of small towns that they're really popular here, where you can go to rivers. We have also Guatapé. I don't know if you were there. The Guatapé that has the big lake and the big rock.
No,
Yeah,
I can't. I forgot. I went to this place. It's a big lake, and it's like the number one place for like kite surfing. And it was like in the middle of nowhere in the desert, and I was like in a village almost. I'll have to look it up, but it was quite the experience. Like a hotel, we were staying in like hammocks, and
wow.
it was dirt roads to get out there, but it was such an adventure and so much fun. I've never experienced anything like that. And what I didn't realize about Colombia is that, like, when you think about Colombia, you're like jungle, but you guys also have a desert. And so we were driving in this desert, and I had no idea. There's this desert. It had so many different environments there, and
Yeah,
I'm just like, it's only any time before people figure this out and start coming down there.
yeah, yeah.
But
Colombia is the most biodiverse country after Brazil. So
yeah.
we have desert, we have ocean, we have forest, we have everything here.
Now, do you visit any of the neighboring countries? You ever been to Panama or?
No, I went to Brazil recently and I loved it. I loved Rio. Like, if I was gonna move somewhere, I would move to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. I love
I
that place.
haven't been to Brazil, but I spent a lot of time in Paraguay, and like, because they're landlocked, so everyone, it's summer right now, so everyone and their mother is in Florianopolis. They're all the beach areas in
Yeah.
Brazil, and it looks beautiful. But I'm also worried because like everyone's like it's a little dangerous. I've heard Rio's dangerous. How was that for you? And did you have any problems in Rio?
Not at all. We were afraid too when we went there, because everyone says that it's super dangerous, that you can get robbed in the beach. But we felt pretty safe. Like, I can tell you a little bit more safe than in Colombia.
Really?
Like, we were walking, yeah, we were walking by the beach with our phones, and we felt like super safe. In Colombia, you have to be careful with your belongings and always be like watching out. But in Brazil, I felt way more safe. I don't know if that's like, I don't know if I was like more chill because I live in
Yeah,
Colombia. This is a dangerous place
it's
in a certain way, but Brazil, I felt it was way safer than here.
well, it's interesting too because I hadn't been to Buenos Aires, Argentina before. Everyone's like, "Oh, there's all this crime and petty crime. They're robbing phones, all this stuff." And I've been there like 3 times. I've never seen any crime. It's actually like I felt very safe there, and I ran around everywhere. I'm sure there's more bad areas outside the city in certain locations, but it's kind of funny how you listen to people and they'll talk about other countries. Now, how is the safety in Colombia? And I know with this inflation, crime's kind of going up everywhere. It's universal. But what I've been seeing a lot online is like, what do they call it? Scopamine. And there's just it was just in the mainstream media where one
Yeah.
guy actually got killed where, you go on a Tinder date and the girls give you the scopolamine and they rob you. And there's ones where like they take everything, even like the food out of the refrigerator. So I guess if you're expat, you gotta be a little careful. And just like, I mean, I'm in California right now. If you go to Los Angeles, it's probably more, downtown LA is probably more dangerous than a lot of places you'll go in South America. You just have to be cognizant of where you're going.
Yeah, where you go.
You would say it's overall like it's pretty safe, and you just kind of got to be smart.
Yeah, you gotta be smart. Like everywhere, you need to watch out and be careful with your belongings. What happens here a lot, because women are beautiful, guys come for the woman, and so they get like the cases of scopolamine or girls scamming them. Happen a lot. Like they happen a lot, but of course you need to be careful. You need to hang out with like good people. Like sometimes it's pretty obvious to see which girls are good girls and which girls are bad girls. I just don't know how people get tricked, but you need to be smart and just like watch out, and you'll be fine.
Now, if I was going down there, like how safe would it be to stay in an Airbnb? Like, because like hotels are you're safe, but people want to save money or go for longer periods of time and stay like an Airbnb in a building. Now, like how safe is that? And do you think there would be any problems with like, followers of mine staying in Airbnbs and apartment complexes there?
No, it's pretty safe. You just need to find a right place. There are also amazing like options here. You have a lot of options depending on your budget. Also, people here are trying to improve their like how do I say this? Like the service.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're trying to like give a good service. More like you see a lot of like good hosts, because service in Colombia didn't used to be that good. Like when you went to a restaurant or you stayed at a hotel or an Airbnb, like service was like so. But now people are trying to improve on service. So you are gonna, when you stay at an Airbnb, it's gonna be pretty safe. It's gonna be
recommendation.
Yeah. Excuse me? What?
They want a good recommendation. They want good reviews.
Yeah, exactly. So people are like improving on that and developing and giving a better service.
Okay. Well, I'll wrap it up. Thank you for the interview, Luisa. That was very informative. And, I know people are going to be bummed about the permanent residency and stuff, but who knows, maybe in the future they'll change it. But I know a lot of people, Colombia is on their top 3 of countries they want to go visit and, experience. And, this gives them the information on how to stay, where to stay, and all that stuff. And I thank you for coming on the show. And who knows, maybe we'll meet up one day in Medellin.
Yeah, for sure. You're welcome here. And just like, let me know when you're going to come down here. It was a pleasure being at your